Now you've got your cootie shot. Hi, ugly. It's me, Bessie, and welcome back to Hat or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the world. Our international superstars were challenged to parody theater legends in West End Wendys, the comeback. Ow. And the runway category was ... And today we'll be ranking the queens from rottest rat to hottest hots based on their overall performance in the episode, using a simple score system where I awarded up to 5 hot flames for their runway and 5 for their performance in the challenge. We've got a lot to talk about, and I can't wait to talk about the elimination herd round the world. But first, oops. I just spilled 64 ounces of water onto my feet. Good thing I was wearing my Vessies, makers of 100% waterproof sneakers and the sponsor of today's video. But now, the big reveal. When I take off my shoe, look how dry that foot is. And look what happens when I stuff my shoes with tissue paper and submerge them into my sink. You can see the outside layer getting wet, but the big reveal, not a single drop of water penetrated Vessie's patented 100% waterproof, breathable knit fabric. A little layer of magic they're calling Dymatex, which, by the way, is literally the most comfortable thing I've ever had the pleasure of slipping my foot into. But Vessies aren't just 100% waterproof and as comfortable as a second skin, they're also stylish. Fit check. These are Vessies Men's Cityscape in charcoal gray. These are Vessies Men's Everyday model in all black. And what's that? As it turns out, it's your special day. Because when you shop at Vessie.com and use code BussieQueen during checkout, you'll get $25 off each pair of adult Vessie shoes that you order. Oh, and not me being goofy again, I forgot to mention that Vessies are sustainably made with vegan materials and shipped in 100% recyclable packaging. Click the link in the description of this video to visit Vessie.com and use code BussieQueen at checkout to get $25 off your new favorite pair of shoes. Thanks, Vessie, for sponsoring today's video and keeping my feet dry. Now, first up and at the bottom of my list tonight is Jujubee. The character she played in the Rusical was called Lally Bowelz, a parody on Liza Minnelli. And all things considered, what Juju did with Liza really wasn't that bad. But considering she won the reading challenge and got to pick the roles and selected that role for herself, I think we as fans, and maybe the judges too, expected something really stellar from her. Did she hit the choreo? Yes. And was the illusion of Liza that she gave decent? Yes. But Liza is such an animated character that going over the top isn't enough. You have to go over the top's top. She was just missing, I think, some of those key details in the performance, like tiny facial expressions and extra animated movements of her hands. So I'm gonna leave what she did here at a very safe hot. But on the runway, girl, it do take nerve. The gumption, the gall, the audacity of it all. This runway from Juju tonight is not only appalling, but atrocious. And there's nothing redeeming about it, I'm so sorry. It does meet the brief. There are dots on this PVC snake that she has wrapped around this little black dress, but my God, is it unflattering, unconceptualized, and I think disregards the effort and professionalism brought to the runway by so many of the other queens tonight. And she's wearing a Party City wig that she didn't even get the shine taken off of. What is going on? This look and some of her others have actually been so bad that I've kind of just been wondering, is she trolling us? I mean, we certainly can't rule out that possibility. She even, in the confessional today, said, imagine Jujubee as a troll. Coincidence? I'll let you decide. The judges went as far as saying this look was cute and club kid, but the only thing it says to me, no, screams, is please put me out of my misery. This look is worse than a rot. It's gutted, and that's a first. And next up, oh wow, it's Jimbo. So Jimbo does start off this episode in some hot water when she reveals to the rest of the girls that it was Jujubee's lipstick she had pulled in last week's elimination. But what gagged me is that after showing that lipstick to the girls, she immediately begins to backtrack her reasoning. Instead of saying that she thought Juju should have gone home because her looks were the worst, she tries to explain herself awkwardly by admitting that she would have eliminated Juju because she wants to sing a song with RuPaul, aka she thought Juju was bigger competition and she wanted to make it to the end. And personally, I'm not mad at a queen for playing competitively like that in All Stars. I mean, we saw Naomi do that with Manila back on her All Star season. Is it a cutthroat way to play? Yes, but valid. However, I think the final nail in the coffin for this situation was Juju letting everybody know that Jimbo had attempted to create an alliance with her, despite, choosing her lipstick. But we'll talk more about how that plays into the elimination this episode at the end of this video. Concerning what Jimbo did in the challenge, her character was Dodo, a parody of Toto from The Wizard of Oz. And unfortunately for Jimbo, this dog had no bark or bite. We do hear Jimbo complaining of a neck injury the day of rehearsal, which goes away the day of the challenge, and we hear shady confessionals from Pangina calling her out, saying it's a little suspicious. But even giving Jimbo the benefit of the doubt here, I don't think it's hard to imagine that she would have been really nervous for a challenge like this, considering that she just lip-synced in the top 2 for the past 2 weeks and didn't get the win either time. And this challenge essentially is a lip-sync challenge. But what further complicates this particular performance from Jimbo is that all the other characters were based on, at least loosely, real people. This character is based on a dog, and maybe partly on Judy Garland, but that is to say, parodying what was essentially an extra character in a film that has no noticeable or remarkable facial expressions to give during the performance kind of makes things a bit harder for her. But on the flip side, if there was any queen in this competition who could take a one-dimensional character like a dog and make it funny, I think it would have been Jimbo. Let's not forget the bitch was dressed as a ghost and said not one word in the talent challenge and threw baloney around. And to complicate this one-dimensional performance, she kind of spent way too much time doing the same thing. For example, hiding behind her basket, walking back and forth on stage, and singing into the rhinestoned bone. Dodo never even made it out of Kansas. This performance was a rat. But on the runway, she's giving Spaceballs. This is a fun reference that I don't think we've seen on the RuPaul's Drag Race runway before, and she mostly is hitting the reference with the helmet that she has on her head. The rest of it, I think, was just kind of Jimbo's crazy imagination running wild with maybe what a space alien that was fashionable and campy would look like. Her outfit here is both literal with dots all over the coat and conceptual with the reference to Spaceballs, and it didn't teleport me all the way to Mars, but I think the fit is interstellar, the color combo cosmic, and I think this look overall is hot. Next up, Baga Chipz. Baga plays the character Tracy Fatberg, which is a parody on Tracy Turnblad from Hairspray. And the drama behind her performing as this character was that she, of course, wanted Liza. I mean, she does a good Liza from what we've seen, but she couldn't quite convince Juju to let Liza go. And we see Baga ominously saying in the workroom that she forgives, but never forgets. But evaluating the performance that Baga gave and completely disregarding the tantrum that she threw over being cast as Tracy, a tantrum that she threw, by the way, for the 2nd week in a row now, which she did apologize for, I think what Baga did was really safe. I don't think what she did was super inventive or transformative, but it was fun. The choreo was of the era, clean, and she was emoting really well. But I do want to point out, her performance was extremely prop heavy. There was a picket sign, 2 giant hairspray cans at the end, because her character was addicted to hairspray. Me too. And surely those were all provided by the production team, but I'm pointing this out to say not every queen had the same amount of props, and having more props in your performance naturally lends to a more dynamic performance. She always had something to go do and grab and dance with. Whereas, like we saw with Jimbo's performance earlier, she had a bone in a basket. Wish I had a bone in a basket right now. Woo! Girl, it's been a long time. Baga huffed and puffed tonight, and this performance was hot. On the runway, she's giving us big business. Maybe a little bit, with maybe a little bit, with maybe a little bit. With maybe a little bit of bit meddler and big business, meeting, as the judges say, Kentucky Derby, or perhaps afternoon tea at the Buckingham Palace. And sure, the obvious critique here is that this look could have been a little more conceptual. It, at the end of the day, is just a pretty pink outfit with white polka dots on it. But this outfit does show she is at least taking the runways halfway seriously. So I'm going to give this look a hot. Next up, call her Mo Hart, Mo this, Mo that, but not Monique. Mo's character in the challenge is Dr. Spank-n-Spurter, a parody on Dr. Frank-n-Furter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So Rocky Horror is a cult classic film from like the 70s that largely has been hailed as the holy grail of sexual liberation in the time. This film did things that others wouldn't even dream of. It is worth noting that many of the scenes now are being criticized under the modern lens of pop culture, but the joke of Mo's character is essentially that she's reversing all of that liberation that occurred and instead turning back into a virgin. All that considered, I'm not so sure Mo nailed what what should have been happening with this character. We see her dancing around stage, doing crazy tricks, and slowly covering herself up with like sweatpants and a cardigan. You would think that the natural progression of this character would be for the dance moves to become more conservative as it went on, but Mo played it very one note, crazy the whole way through. And I think because some of the dancing was so crazy, she did kind of miss some of the spots, like for example, the split. I think this character called for a little less horror. So I'm leaving this performance at a rat. But over on the runway, credit where credit is blue. Mo looks fabulous here. I'm getting disco silhouette taking inspiration from Sully in Monsters, Inc. Boo! More than just loving the reference, I love how Mo performed this on the runway. She really played with that giant scarf that had the polka dots that were in Sully's fur from the movie, and I appreciated the contrasting textures of the flowy pants and scarf with that harder bodice piece. Plus, I love that she tied everything in together with the makeup she was wearing and that fabulous wig that has hearts in it for Mo Heart and horns for the character. She left me screaming for more. This look is hot. Next up, Jacké. In the challenge, she played Meryl Streep. Yes, just Meryl Streep. Parodying specifically the character that Meryl played in Mamma Mia. And bitch, I gotta say, what shocked me the most about her performance was when she turned around from the piano and looked just like Meryl. And in addition to her paint matching the picture, I think she really captured those tiny facial expressions that Meryl does in her acting. And as the judges pointed out, did things like the hands in the pockets and the dancing, and overall did really well. Choreographically speaking, I will say this performance was a little on the more simple side, but what she did was done well, and I'm gonna give this performance a hot. That's all. And on the runway, Janey's look is, I think, similar in terms of like fashion era to Baga's, but it's a little more classy, refined, and elegant, I think. The judges seem to be a little mad about the fit of the top part and the fit of the skirt, but honestly, I had zero problems with this. The only thing I would have changed is maybe just like adding some feathers that were on the hat to the shoe, I don't know, just to like complete the look head to toe. And yeah, like Baga, she could have got a little more conceptual with this runway, but I think she looks classy, and this 100% says all-star runway to me. The lines are clean, a silhouette was delivered, and ... This look is hot. Next up, it's Pangina Hill. Ariana Grande appears in the corner of my room. Okay. Pangina's character in the challenge is Little Orphan Fannie, a parody of Little Orphan Annie, but like 50 years later. And I think what really got me here was the makeup and the inventive characterization of a character that technically doesn't exist. Like, what would little Fannie be doing nowadays? That was all up to her imagination. And Pangina is, as we've seen in her top 2 lip sync and talent show, somebody who I think excels at really delivering comedy with every opportunity in a lip sync. And she applied that to this challenge too. She just knows exactly the right silly facial expression to make with the right word, and how and when to bend her knee as she guides herself through the stage to deliver that physical comedy. Little Orphan Fannie will surely have no trouble getting adopted when she performs this number at the orphanage. This was hot. And on the runway, ... Pangina says that her inspiration is an avant-garde Chinese lantern. Starting with the positives here, I like the ingenuity of what she did. The headpiece that folds back, brilliant. And stupid, right? Because it's like not a reveal that reveals anything, it just reveals that the outfit is really cool. And bitch, that's drag. My critiques on this look, and this really is just a personal taste thing, I don't love the fabric that she used to construct this look. That primary color polka dot on a white background thing, for some reason, reminds me of like a daycare, nap time, and confetti sprinkles on a vanilla cake that I don't want to eat. But we don't let our personal traumas affect how we judge runways here on Hot or Rat. She took a boring runway category and delivered a fully realized concept with a unique silhouette that was both artistic and unique to Drag Race. So I think this look was hot. And at the tippity-toppity of my list tonight is blue. I choose you. In the challenge, she plays Mariah gone Trappy, which is a parody on the character Julie Andrews plays in The Sound of Music. And this is a character that had plenty of inspiration to pull from in terms of delivering facial choreography and props and all of that on the main stage. And I've gotta say, she used every inch of everything that she had and that she was given. In the wrong hands, I really think that this performance could have been kind of boring. despite the sexual undertones. But Blue has just constantly been proving in this competition that she can rise to any occasion, and this was no exception. I think this performance was hot. And on the runway, she picks her perfect complement, orange. This look. It's phenomenal. It's perfect. This is an International All-Stars UK vs. the World runway. Side note, can you imagine being Blue and putting this on and then looking over in the dressing room and seeing Jujubee with that little PVC snake thing? No words. This look is giving me Renaissance royalty meets red mage and corsair garb from one of my favorite video games, Final Fantasy. And it's one of those looks that the more you look at it, the more you love it. She literally has 4 different face masks painted with her face on her arms as cuffs, and the dots were incorporated in really special and fun ways throughout the outfit, even on her face. Like in my eyes, and they're up here, by the way. There's nothing else that Blue could do, challenge, and runway consider to prove that she is worthy of this crown. What a phenomenal night for her, and this look was hot. In the bottom 2 tonight, we have Jimbo and Jujubee. It was no surprise to me to see Jimbo in the bottom. I think anyone watching this challenge would have come to the conclusion that her performance was simply not up to rough snuff. But Juju in the bottom actually surprised me because I thought her performance was pretty safe. And of course, considering the judges don't normally factor in things like runways when considering placements, even though Rupaul says that they do. Which means they actually did factor in her atrocious runway tonight when deciding placements. Or maybe, perhaps, the judges and producers thought it would be interesting to put Jujubee in the bottom with Jimbo, considering what had happened at the beginning of the episode. Say that 5 times fast. Having these 2 in the bottom, of course, would give the queen who wins the lip sync an opportunity to serve a little bit of justice in their eyes to Juju, and possibly gain an ally in the competition moving forward. Because if I were deciding bottom 2 placements only on challenge performance, as the competition usually does, I would have picked Mo and Jimbo. But again, if we were considering both, yeah, I would have put Juju and Jimbo in the bottom 2, as you saw in my ranking tonight. More than anything though, I think a lot of this was just perfect storm and opportunity to justify different things different ways. But let's talk about that winner's lip sync. We've got Pangina and Janey, who, if you remember, were 2 of the queens who seemed to take the most offense to Jimbo, quote, backstabbing Juju with a little alliance situation. It's all very interesting stuff, huh? And Pangina, yes, deserved her top placement 100%. But Janey maybe is a little questionable there. I would have picked Blue based on what we saw. And if we're gonna use Juju's runway to justify her bottom placement, then I think we should use Blue's runway to justify a top placement, right? Let's make it make sense here, people. Anyway, if you wanna check out my raw and unfiltered reaction to this lip sync and the runways, I did react to everything over on my Patreon at patreon.com/bussyqueen. That's my members only website where my Patreon family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, access to exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. You can join by clicking the link in the description of this video. See you there. But my simple thoughts are that Pangina served this lip sync the house down boots. She killed it. I loved what she did with this lip sync. Again, she keeps proving that she knows how to make literally anything and everything funny. Plus, she's an amazing dancer. And Janey did the dancing part well tonight, absolutely, but Pangina just had that extra little umph of comedy. So she wins, in my eyes and the judges. But let's discuss that lipstick that she pulled. Jimbo's. And firstly, let me say that while I wouldn't have pulled that lipstick, I can also, of course, respect the choice that Pangina made in this competition. It was a competitive one, and she played cutthroat. Because for most of these queens, the importance of winning is there. But for Pangina, this is the first time, and probably last time, that she'll get to compete on RuPaul's Drag Race, at least for the foreseeable 5 to 10 years. Doing anything and everything she can to win this competition, I think is really, really important to her. Obviously, though, Jimbo has been excelling in this competition. She's been in the top twice now, and had this one unfortunate slip up. And on the other side of the fence, we have Juju in the bottom for the 2nd week in a row. Plus, she's wearing a look tonight that might as well basically just be a t-shirt saying she's contractually obligated to be there. But again, Pangina knows all of this, and I think she can kind of guise this decision in the fact that Jimbo flopped really hard tonight. She, at the same time, gets to eliminate somebody with a stellar track record who undoubtedly would have ended up in the top with her, and gets to reset the precedence of kind of what everybody has agreed upon doing, eliminating the queen that they think did the worst in the challenge, even when it seems they may deserve a little bit of mercy. But you know, losing is the new winning. I suppose. But let me know what you're thinking. I'm always interested to read y'all's comments. Who would you have put in the top 2, bottom 2, sent home, and given the win tonight? And of course, remember when you're traversing these online spaces filled with drag fans to be a beacon of light and spread positivity, not negativity. That ain't cute. Even Jimbo said so. Don't hate on Pangina or any of the queens. And this week, my hottest hot on the runway goes to Blue Hydrangea. And the challenge goes to Pangina Heels. I also asked my patrons to vote on their hottest tots. And on the runway, they've chosen Blue Hydrangea. And in the Rusical, Pangina Heels. And as always, I want to say thanks to you for watching today's video. Today's video sponsor, Vessi, for keeping my feet dry. And you too can keep your feet dry with Vessi and save $25 on your new favorite pair of shoes by clicking the link in the description of this video to get your own. And lastly, I want to say thanks to my generous patrons who make my channel possible and give a special shout out to Brianna, Kevin Cagle, Jacoby Rodriguez, Corey I, and Sylvia Gordon, who've all just joined my Patreon at the hot tier. And Ali Al, Angel, Cyrus, Dicky, Felicia, Hector Simancas, JB Jeffrey Joseph, Josh Marchant, JP in Dallas, Laura Lassette, Mark James, Matthew Burns, Matthew Bauer, Maxie LaWow, Miss F, Neely, Ryan Beats, Scooby Snacks, Sailor, Steven, Tom Jaco, Tom Young, Topher, Triton, Wheelie, and Yeejeet, who are all supporting me at my Bussy Queen Collector tier. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye.